What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the news story that Housemarque is working on a new IP. Now, this story is actually, it's just being published yesterday, I believe, but the actual conversation that led to this was actually over a week ago from what the article says. So it came from VentureBeat, and they basically sat down with Housemarque and asked them a lot of different things, talked about unionization, talked about difficulty in games and kind of the future for their studio for that. And then they also talked about, what kind of they're working on next. So, and pretty much the biggest thing that came out of the entire, interview conversation was working on a new IP. The quote is, "It's early days with us starting a new game, a new IP, concepting it out. We'll see what comes with that." And so I'm glad they said a new IP, because starting a new game doesn't necessarily, that it has to be a new IP. But I want to talk about a couple different things there. Well, number one, I'm glad to hear something about it, right? We are about a year or so, a little probably less than a year since Returnal came out. And so, I don't expect to get this game anytime soon, probably like 2 years at the absolute minimum, I would imagine, right? Give them 3 years in all. But it's great to hear it. It is... I don't want to say like slightly disappointing or disappointing at all about kind of moving off of Returnal. Returnal very much feels like, it feels less in the way that the other games have, but it does feel like it could be kind of a franchise center point, right? Although not necessarily, and that's kind of the point, right? The other side of that is, well, it very much could be a one and done thing. I really don't have a problem, to be honest, and the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking in my head as I'm talking here, I kind of do get excited at the possibility, because you think about Housemarque, or I think about them, and how much I really appreciate them as developers and how much I love them. I've talked about it. Some of my favorite games of all time are from Housemarque. Some of the best games that they've ever made, I think, are very much kind of the center point of Returnal, mainly Resogun and Nex Machina. I think Returnal, honestly, is those two games put together, obviously from a third-person shooter point of view. So, that's fine. And I actually think that really helps their studio out going forward, just doing, hey, let's try this, let's try that. Now, what we do know, at least back in the day, remember, after the era of Resogun and even Dead Nation and all of that stuff, and obviously Nex Machina kind of being one of the final ones that they did, they were done with those kind of arcadey, some of them were top-down, some of them weren't, right? But those kind of games, they were done with them, and they had said that. Remember, they were actually working on a multiplayer game, and they put that down to go to Returnal. So I wonder if they maybe go back to that or kind of re-prototype it and make a new game, or, obviously, if you continue forward and you just literally do a brand new thing, it would, I still think, be what we would imagine a AAA kind of bigger blockbuster thing. And now that obviously they're owned by Sony, more resources, more just money probably involved, right? I think it's going to work out. I really do. So, because again, Returnal, I think it's so, and I haven't even beaten Returnal, right? I'm just talking as a person who's thoroughly enjoyed what I have played. I need to go back to it. Again, it's approaching a year, so I really need to stop saying it and just start doing it. But it's such a good game, and it really is just some of the best that Housemarque has ever done. And maybe that came about because of the AAA. Like, this needs to be a AAA, appeal to a wider audience. And yeah, Returnal, when you look at Returnal compared to like a lot of other Sony games, let's be real, right? Returnal did not sell nearly as well as a lot of these, but you also look to games like Nex Machina and things like this. Those games don't sell at all. So, so yes, Returnal is not this 5-10 million, selling machine. Although Sony did say, I believe in like a fiscal report or at like a conference, that it did do well. Like it met what they wanted, or it's a new hit franchise, or whatever they said about it. So it did, fine. That's great. And it is progress. I think I honestly think Housemarque is getting better in terms of the sales of their games over time. Resogun, I don't necessarily think should count because of PS Plus and all that stuff back in the day, but that's the situation. So I'm very excited. They're one of the best studios, I honestly think, in the world. Obviously, very different kinds of games. They're not necessarily a game studio, or these games are not always games that appeal to everybody, but they don't, in my opinion, they don't have to. I think they do really, really good at what they do actually try to make. So we'll see what they do next. I'd imagine it's something with like a shooter element. That's pretty much everything they've ever done. Just obviously depends on what kind of shooter element, but we'll have to see over the next couple of years. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.